Can I get a woo woo? Welcome to the Woo Woo and You podcast. I am your host, B. Marie. And if you love all things manifestation, sound healing, auras, tarot, astrology, numerology, or anything else considered woo, then you are in the right spot. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in. We all know that healing isn't always pretty. It doesn't always look like candles and affirmations. Sometimes it looks like rest, boundaries, crying, screaming, rage dancing, journaling, and honesty. I know some people may feel like they're broken, but the truth is you are not broken. You are wounded. And when you can look at your wounds for what they are, you can begin to heal. February is known as the month of love, of course, for Valentine's Day. Showing love to other people, your significant partner, whatever the case may be. But a lot of the times we don't give ourselves love. So this month, in honor of February, this podcast is going to be about self-love, turning the attention towards yourself. Self-healing is a self-relationship. I didn't realize that I, myself, needed healing until I took a manifestation course, thinking that I was getting into the course to help manifest my best life ever. But what I got instead was even better than I could have imagined. It was looking at myself, my wounds, and my triggers, and helping to heal everything. So when I first got into the manifestation class back in 2023, I used to drink pretty heavily. I was a very social drinker, especially in my 20s. I was always going out, drinking, having a good time. And then my late 20s, I decided that I wanted to get a divorce. And I kind of went through a dark night of the soul. I was very, very low at that point in my life. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So at that point, I was drinking extremely heavily. Not only was I drinking just on the weekends anymore or just with friends, after work, I would have a drink. When I go out to a restaurant, I would have a drink. Anytime I was going out, I was also having a drink. And not only was I doing that, but I was also drinking on an empty stomach, meaning I did not eat while I was drinking. So if I knew I was going to be drinking, I would typically eat a good lunch, and then from, maybe 4 or 5, whatever time I started to drink, I would not eat. I would not eat until I was actually done with drinking because I didn't want it to, quote unquote, ruin my buzz. And if you had asked me back then, I wouldn't have said that that was necessarily a problem. I always joked around saying, like, if I run out of a drink, then that's the problem, right? I didn't realize I had a problem. But then one day, after working on myself, my triggers, my wounds, I woke up one day and realized that I don't drink as much, right? I don't go out and have to have a glass of wine or beer or whatever the case may be. I don't drink every weekend anymore. And if I do have a drink, it's usually just 1 or 2 glasses. It's not to the point of where I am blacking out or I'm waking up with a hangover. And trust me, I do not miss those hangovers at all. I would say that right there has been the absolute best thing. Not waking up with a headache or feeling like shit the next day, or, wasting half my day feeling just terrible. Now I can just go and have a drink every once in a while, maybe 2 glasses of wine, but really that's been it. So what changed, right? Like, what did I do? Well, the manifestation course, it really did a lot of inner child work. It did a lot of shadow work. There was a lot of journaling, a lot of crying, a lot of rage dancing and shaking and meditations and really just sitting with myself and the emotions and just letting them come out and letting them be felt. Because that was the first time I actually let my feelings out. Because before that, if I was feeling sad or feeling like I wanted to cry, I would literally bottle it up. There's times that I can remember feeling like I wanted to cry, and I would look up at the sky because I knew if you looked up, you can't produce tears, you can't cry, or it helps stop crying, right? So that's what I would do a lot of the times. So bottling all that shit up, not letting it out, is probably, why I turned to drinking. Like I said, I used to drink so much and I didn't even realize it. And you may not realize you have a problem either, whether that's with drinking or with anything else. There's other ways to comfort yourself other than drink. You could turn to food, you could turn to drugs, you could turn to toxic relationships. There's just so many other things that if you have a lot of anxiety or stress or whatever the case may be, that's kind of where you're bottling up your emotions and not sitting with them and just being with them and letting them visit you for a while and then releasing them, letting them go and letting yourself heal. If you feel like you have any of these stuck patterns, you feel, very anxious, or you are turning to something like food or drink, it may be time to let yourself heal. Let yourself sit in emotions that I know can be scary. A lot of people don't want to cry. They see crying as a weakness, when actually it's not weakness. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel whatever emotion you are feeling. Because emotion needs to be moved out of the body. That is the only way you can process and let things go. So, how can we start to heal ourselves? What are some easy ways that we can just start to look at things, right? So, journaling has been for me a really good place to start because there are many, many shadow work workbooks out there that you can buy. So one of the shadow work books that I started using was the Shadow Work Journal by Khalil Shaheen. If I'm pronouncing that right, I will link this. But I found this at Target, and this was a really good way to just kind of help me with the work that I had already been doing. But this is a really good starting point for you if you are a beginner in shadow work. It'll help you with, if you have any trust wounds, right? Are you afraid to be hurt? Are you having trust issues with other people? If you have any guilt wound, do you say sorry a lot? Do you apologize for everything? Do you feel bad for everything? Are you a people pleaser? Do you not like asking for things, right? That's the guilt wound. Or do you have a neglect wound? Do you struggle to let things go? Do you get angry easily? Do you struggle to say no to things? Do you not put up your own boundaries and actually stick with them? Do you attract people in your relationships that don't make you feel seen, right? The neglect wound for me was one of the bigger ones, as well as the abandonment wound, which makes you feel like you're being left out of things, or if you fear that you're going to be left alone, or if you're very codependent. I believe in some of my relationships, I was codependent, and I had to really face that and accept that, okay, yes, I'm doing XYZ, and that's not healthy. So with this book, it will give you some exercises, some reflection questions, fill in the blank type of things, affirmations. And some of these questions, may make you cry. I know for me, sitting there just reflecting on the question and answering it really brought up emotion that I didn't even realize I had with particular things. So that's one easy way that you can start to just kind of work on yourself and show yourself some self-love and to start to heal your your wounds, right? And your triggers. We're going to take a quick pause for a moment, and I want to let you know that this month, February 22nd, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 1 p.m. Central, the Woo Woo and You is hosting a live group Zoom event. It's going to be a meditation in motion session. So this session is really going to help you get out of your mind and into your body and let your body freely express what it needs to express. So this group session is going to begin with grounding and gentle guidance from our intuitive Lindsay. She's going to help you feel safe and supported right now where you are. Then music will be introduced so you can start to move your body intuitively. And it's going to be starting with small, simple movements. And then you're gradually going to be allowing your body to open up into larger expressions. And this will all be at your own pace. So this month is going to be focusing on self-love, of course. You're going to be learning to trust your body, meeting yourself with compassion, and allowing yourself just to move and express yourself without any judgment. So Lindsay will guide you through this whole experience, but of course you are encouraged to listen to your body, right? And just express what it needs to in that moment. So if you would like to attend this live group session, again, this will be February 22nd, that is a Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Central Time. And you can save your spot by going to thewoowoondyou.com and seeing the event page, and then you can save your spot there. This is a donation-based offering, so you can decide how much you would like to exchange. We also accept other energy exchanges, so if you have a service that you provide and you would like to exchange that with us, you can contact us and we would love to hear more about it. So I will leave the link to register for the meditation in motion session down below in the show notes. And when you register, just make sure you use the right email because there will be a replay link. So if you cannot join the session live, we will email you the replay so you can replay it later and do it when you do actually have time. Another thing that you can do is meditations or sound baths. And I know a lot of people have this thing where they're like, I just can't meditate. Like, I get in my head way too much. Yes, I am still actually the same way. It takes me a while to actually be able to quiet my mind and really get into a place where it is quiet and I can like go on a journey basically. So if you do find yourself having trouble with like quiet meditation, you can always start out with sound meditation, which helps you to just kind of quiet the mind for you because you're concentrating on listening to the sound, right? So there's plenty of things on YouTube. You can look up, sound baths. We also here at the Woo Woo and You, we do sound meditation. So you can look on our YouTube page or our Insight page. So if you have the Insight timer, you can also look up. There's so many different types of sound meditation out there. We are on there as well. So that's another way that you can just start to quiet your mind and go within. Other ways that you can start to heal yourself is putting up your boundaries. What is not feeling good to you, right? Are you a type of person that says yes to everything because you feel like you have to say yes to everything, or because you actually want to say yes to everything? If you're doing things and just saying yes to absolutely everything, eventually you're going to feel burnt out, especially if you're, working, plus maybe you have children, plus whatever else is going on in your life, right? And then you're saying yes to absolutely everything. Start putting up boundaries and saying no to the things that do not resonate with you. If one of your friends asks you to go out on a weekend and maybe you've had a really busy week and you really need rest this weekend, don't say yes. Like, plain and simple. Don't say yes. Just be like, no, no thank you. I'm gonna catch up on my rest this weekend, or whatever the case may be. Don't feel like you have to constantly keep saying yes to everything, because that will burn you out so quickly. And that was another thing that I used to do as well. I used to say yes to a lot of things, even though I really didn't want to do them. But now I have learned to just say no. Like, if I don't feel like doing something, I am going to say no to it. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. It's just like, no, I am putting myself first, how I feel, what my body needs, what my mind needs, what I need physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, everything, right? I am putting myself first. And that is self-love. That is not selfish. That is self-love, because you cannot give on an empty cup, right? If your cup is not full, if you don't feel good, how are you going to give to other people? You can't, right? So just learning your own boundaries and start saying no unapologetically. And I can give you another example of when I actually started to put up my boundary for my own self. So I used to work at a full-time job. A lot of the times I would get off later than I was actually supposed to. So say if my schedule was up to 3:30, sometimes I would be getting off at like 5 or 6 because I had to do extra things, right? So my full-time job was a little more than 40 hours a week. On average, I would say I was getting maybe up to 45, right? And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but for me, as a projector in human design, which that will be another topic for another time, but as a projector, my energy is not the type to go, 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 right? I am the type of person that I need rest. I need lots of rest, right? So I've never really wanted to work a full-time job to begin with. I've always been the type to want to work part-time or just do something that I love. And for me, while I was working that full-time job, I was a driver, so I ended up getting plantar fasciitis really bad in my driving foot. So I asked if I could be part-time, and I asked to work just 3 days a week, which was agreed to. And during that time that I was only working 3 days a week, I felt so much better, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally as well, because my phone was not ringing as much anymore, because they would, call you and say, hey, you need to go, pick up XYZ or drop off XYZ, whatever. The fact that I was only working 3 days a week, and me realizing that that's what I've always wanted, like I wanted to work less hours, right? That was a boundary for me that I didn't realize that I was pushing, because the normal quote unquote status quo, right, is work 40 hours a week. But for me, that just pushed me and my boundaries kind of where I don't feel my best. I don't feel good. I'm constantly tired, right? I would come home and crash on the couch, and that's all I would do. And then the weekends, of course, I'm just catching up on what I need to catch up on. Errands, cleaning the house, laundry, that type of thing. So with me working part-time, I realized that, wow, I feel so much better. I'm so much less stressed. I physically feel better. Like, my body is starting to heal from the plantar fasciitis, and all of the things. So I decided that I wanted to stay part-time. And at that particular job, they wanted me full-time. And I was just like, no. I put up my boundary and I stuck to it. I was like, no, that's not right for me. I just feel better working part-time. So they eventually let me go. After probably about 6 months of being part-time, they let me go. And I took that so hard. It was literally like a breakup for me. I was in such like, oh no, like I loved that job. It was fun to me. It was something different most days. So I was really heartbroken when I lost that job. At the same time, something better was coming, right? And I didn't know that at the time. But after about a month or two, or maybe even less, I don't remember, is kind of when I started the woo-woo. Because I was like, well, I'm job searching at the moment, and it's kind of around the holidays. So, I might not have anything work-wise until after the holidays. So I had a couple of months. So I decided to just start working on the woo-woo. And that's what I did. And if it was not for me, like, putting up my boundary and saying, no, I am not going to work full-time anymore, and I'm going to work part-time, I would not have helped build this business. These podcasts probably would not be up here. All the products and services that we have on the website probably would not be up there, because when I was working full-time, like I said, I was just too tired. I wouldn't have been able to make sound baths. And if I did make a sound bath, then it probably would have felt, the energy just would have felt off, because I would have been tired. Because every time I make a product for the woo-woo, I make sure that I feel my best. I'm not going to put my low energy, if I'm feeling tired, upset, or whatever the case is, into a product, because that's not what I want. So really sticking to my boundaries has kind of pushed me into the life that I am currently creating, and I know that in the future it's going to be even better, because I'm going to have even more time to work on the woo-woo. So at this current moment, I am working, but I am working part-time. So when I was looking for my next job, I literally was looking for part-time only, and I told that to the person that I got interviewed by. And initially, they actually wanted me to be full-time. And again, for the new job, I said, because they sent me over, after my initial interview, they had sent me over, the offer letter. And I was like, cool, great. And I was about to be like, okay, let's go for it. And I read it and it said full-time hours. And I was like, wait. No, this is not what we agreed to. And they were like, well, just in case you want to be full-time. And I was like, no, I'm not being full-time. I do not want to be full-time. So that job actually fell through, because they were actually looking for someone who wanted to be full-time. So of course I was very bummed about that for a little while. And then I'd say about 2 months later, I got a call back from them. And they said, hey, we actually do have a part-time position opening. Are you still interested? So I said, sure. So I interviewed with someone else again, and I got the job, and it was part-time as I wanted. And it was something similar to what I had done previously, which was just driving. So really setting up and sticking to my boundaries has really taught me that it is better for me to do that. And to do that unapologetically, right? Because that's what's best for me and my body. Nobody knows what's best for you except for you. People can have their opinions and their thoughts and their little 2 cents, but only you know what feels good for you. What actually feels good for you. If it's working 40 plus hours a week, great, do that. If working part-time feels good to you, great, do that, right? So just start setting up your boundaries. That's another small way that you can just start loving on yourself and showing yourself how much you love yourself. And once you keep doing small little things like that for yourself, you will begin to do them more and more. So you will begin to put up more boundaries that feel good. You'll begin to meditate if that feels good. You will begin to journal if that feels good to you. You'll begin to move your energy and your emotions out of your body, because that always feels good. I know in the moment, like when you're crying and you're like really ugly crying and you've got, tissues all over the place, it's not pretty. It doesn't feel good. But at the other end, when you are done, you will feel so much better. Trust me. I've been there. I have done it. And I can tell you, there have been times when I have ugly cried so hard for a good 5-10 minutes, and then all of a sudden I stop. And I'm asking myself, I'm like, am I done? Is that it? And I get yeah, you're done, that's it. And I feel so much better. So much better. And I'm just like, wow, I'm so glad I took 5-10 minutes to cry. Or even there has been times where I've cried maybe 30 minutes. Which actually is a fun story. I got triggered once, and we were actually out to a restaurant, and I needed to cry. I was so triggered, I was so annoyed, so frustrated, and we had to wait for a table. And finally, the lady took us to our table. So when she took us to our table, that is when I was like, okay, I'm going to the bathroom. And I went to the bathroom and I cried. And I probably stayed in there about 20-30 minutes. I don't even know. But I just let myself have that time to just cry and feel my feelings and get it out of my system. Because if you don't, if you just bottle it up, like I said, that's when you're going to turn to things that are unhealthy for you. And that energy is going to be stuck in your body. And if it does stay stuck in your body for a long period of time, like over the years, that can manifest into physical illness. So you want to make sure that you are getting that shit out of your body and releasing it and letting it go. So I'm going to leave you with this. I want you to think of one small little act of self-love that you can begin doing. What can you do for yourself? What feels good to you? And even if it's little small things that you start out with, like eating better, drinking more water, just moving your body, that is going to help you in the long run. But if you want to dig deeper and do journaling or meditations, then I invite you to visit us on our YouTube or our Insight Timer and listen to some of our sound baths and meditations there, and I will link them down below. You can also start with some affirmations for self-love. So I'm going to read you a couple from the Shadow Workbook. So all you have to do is repeat with me. I am worthy of love and respect from myself and others. I am worthy of love and respect from myself and others. I love myself deeply and unconditionally. I love myself deeply and unconditionally. I choose to see the beauty and strength within me. I choose to see the beauty and strength within me. And of course, you can always make your own affirmations. And with affirmations, if you like, you can write them down. And then what I like to do is I have one on my mirror. So I have one on my mirror. So every day that I'm looking in the mirror, I see that and I remind myself and I read it as I'm, getting ready, brushing my hair, doing whatever. So that is one way you can start to show little acts of self-love. Another way you can begin this process is by writing yourself a love letter, just expressing everything that you need to hear right now and just having compassion for yourself and whatever you're going through at the moment. So just write a little love letter to yourself. And then whenever you're feeling a little bit down or you're having a bad day, open it up and read it. And then one last little reflection question that I want to leave you with is, what does your body need right now that you have been ignoring? Just take a moment and reflect on that question. Or if you're driving and you're listening to this, maybe come back to this later. But just get quiet for a moment, if you can, and just listen to your body. What does it need right now? What have you been ignoring that your body needs? Is it movement? Is it hydration? Is it rest? Is it good, nourishing food? Is it something else? I just want to remind you that healing is not going to be a linear process, okay? There's going to be ups and downs. It's going to feel like a roller coaster. There are times that you may feel like you've healed something, but then maybe a year or two goes by and then something pops up and you realize you have not fully healed that, right? Because healing comes in layers. And trust me when I say this, because there are things that I thought I had healed and I think I have healed some of it, but then something pops up and I'm like, oh, actually, there's another layer to that. So healing is definitely a journey. It's layer by layer. And honestly, I don't think it ever ends because, things will come up in life that happen and, you may need to heal from it, right? So I honestly don't think this is an end journey, right? Like this is going to be a continuous journey. But if you do start to heal yourself and listen to your body and what it needs and how you feel and your emotions, you're definitely going to be feeling better overall. So just remember, you're not behind on your healing journey. You can start healing yourself at any point that you choose to do it, right? Nobody can do the healing for you. Nobody can answer the journal questions. Nobody can meditate for you or do a sound bath for you or listen to your body or your feelings for you. Like I said, people will have opinions, but only you know what's best. So I invite you to just start listening to your body. Start listening to your emotions. All right. That was probably a little bit of a heavier episode this month. So I want you to take one deep inhale in through the nose and into your belly. Are you ready? Inhaling, holding at the top, and exhaling. Beautiful, beautiful. If you feel like you need to do another deep breath, go ahead. But with that being said, I cannot wait to see you for March's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you would like the links to anything that was discussed, please see the show notes. Or, of course, you can visit our website at www.thewoowoonyou.com. Or you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at thewoowoonyou for more woo.